Hey, welcome to the Explainer. So, I want you to think about something for a second. The classroom itself. Yeah, not what's taught in it, but the actual physical room, the walls, the desks, the whole layout. Today, we're digging into this really powerful idea that the physical space of a school isn't just a neutral backdrop for learning. It's actually an active ingredient, a tool that can either get in the way or completely unlock a student's potential.
All right, so let's dive right into the heart of this. It all kicks off with this really important distinction, the difference between just a room and what you could call a true learning place.
Okay, so look at the left side. Yeah, that looks familiar, right? It's a room. It's a box designed to contain students. But then you look over at the right side, and that's a place. So what's the big difference? A place is designed with real intention. It's built to create connections, to invite people to work together. It basically sends a signal to everyone who walks in that, hey, this is a space for growth, for discovery. It's about so much more than just four walls. It's all about the feeling, the atmosphere it creates.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is a real-world problem. Let me introduce you to Steve. Steve's a math teacher, and he had this amazing vision to get his students doing hands-on, project-based work. But his big ideas, they literally hit a wall. The design of his own classroom was actively fighting against the way he wanted to teach. And that frustration, that's something so many teachers feel every single day.
So what do you do when the room itself is the problem? Well, a team of designers came up with a pretty brilliant answer. What if, instead of just designing a space for students, you actually designed it with them?
So this whole redesign process started somewhere really simple, but honestly, pretty profound. Step one was just to observe. The designers just sat in the back of Steve's class and watched. They wanted to see every little point of friction, every moment the room got in the way, not just for the teacher, but for the students too. They focused on understanding the pain points first, before they even thought about a single solution.
Then came the brainstorming, and this is where they hit on something really important. When they actually asked the students how they wanted to learn, the answer was surprisingly nuanced. They said, yeah, we love the idea of working in these small focus groups of 4, but we don't want to feel cut off from everyone else. They wanted that small group intimacy, but they also wanted to feel like they belonged to the whole class community. And that right there became the core mission for the redesign.
And this is where the students truly became co-designers. This wasn't just a survey. They did a gallery walk with all these cool, inspirational photos of different spaces, and the students used dot stickers to vote on the vibes they liked. They're the ones who pointed out that the entire back wall was basically wasted space. So together, they brainstormed what it could be. The students weren't just clients here. They were literally the architects of their own learning space. So we've seen what they did and how they did it. But the really fascinating part is the why. Why does all of this work so well? Well, the answer is pretty incredible. It's actually rooted in the science of how our brains are wired to learn. And look, it's a totally fair question. Is this all just about making things look nice? Is it just interior decorating? Or is there something much, much deeper going on here? You know, is aesthetics just a luxury, or is it actually fundamental to how we learn? Well, according to the philosopher Dennis Dutton, our love for beauty is anything but superficial. It's actually an evolutionary instinct that's baked right into our DNA. Think about it. For our ancient ancestors, a beautiful landscape wasn't just pretty. It often meant safety, it meant resources, it meant a good place to be. In the exact same way, a well-designed, beautiful classroom sends this powerful, unspoken message straight to our brains. You are safe here, you belong, this is a good place to be, a place where you can thrive.
And that sense of safety, it turns out it's the secret sauce for unlocking our natural curiosity. There's fascinating research from Dr. Goran Gordon's Curiosity Lab that shows what stifles our desire to learn, things like anxiety, fear of messing up, and yeah, arbitrary interruptions like school bells. But when we feel safe, when we're given open-ended problems and the time to actually explore them, our curiosity just ignites.
The design of a space also affects us physically, not just mentally. There have been a bunch of studies on classrooms that bring in things like standing desks, and the results are pretty clear. They found a noticeable jump in how engaged and focused students were.
Just this simple choice to stand or move around can make a huge difference, especially for kids who have a lot of energy. And if you think that's just some abstract data on a chart, listen to this. This is a direct quote from a student after they got to use a more flexible workstation. They said the ability to just sway or move their leg calmed their thinking down so they could think better. That's so powerful. That tiny bit of physical freedom unlocked their mind. It's an amazing reminder of that deep, deep connection between our bodies and our brains.
Okay, so this is all great, but how do we actually put it into practice? Let's take all these big ideas and distill them into a simple, actionable blueprint for creating these more dynamic and, frankly, more effective learning spaces.
So here they are, the 5 key ingredients. First, flexibility. We're talking lightweight furniture, stuff on wheels that you can easily move around. Second, zoning. This means creating different areas for different kinds of activities. You know, a quiet reading nook over here, a hands-on makerspace over there. Third, harmony. Using calming colors, natural textures to make the space feel good. Fourth, playfulness. Adding little elements of fun and surprise to lower stress. And maybe the most important ingredient of all, partnership. Building the space with your students, not just for them.
You know what the best part of all this is? It's not about having a massive budget or a blank check. It's really about a shift in mindset. It's about looking at what you've got and seeing the potential. It's about turning any lemon into lemonade. That forgotten corner of the room, that could become a podcasting booth. That awkward little niche in the wall, that's your new video studio. It's about being creative, not about spending a ton of cash.
You know, once you start rethinking the classroom, it's pretty hard to stop there. It naturally makes you ask a much bigger question. If we can redesign a single room, what if we redesigned the entire system? So let's zoom out for a minute and look at some truly inspiring visions for what the future of school could be.
I love this quote from a kid named Logan LaPlante. He was just 13 when he gave a talk about what he called hack schooling. He described regular school as this one single groomed trail that everyone's forced to walk down. Hacking his education, for him, was about finding thousands of new, interesting, personal paths. That idea is the perfect way to frame this bigger, more radical rethinking of what school can even be. And if you think that's just a cool idea, well, it's not science fiction. It's actually happening. At the University of Florida's experimental school, they decided on the way they wanted to teach, and then they built the entire building to serve that vision. Get this, there are no bells, no rigid schedules, kids learning groups based on what they're interested in, not how old they are. The walls are transparent, so learning is public. Even the teachers work together in a glass fishbowl office, so they're modeling collaboration for the students. The whole building is designed for flow, for partnership, for curiosity. And that brings us to our final thought, and it's a big one. We've seen just how profoundly our environment shapes how we learn. So it forces you to ask the question, do the fundamental structures of school that we all just take for granted, grouping kids together based on their birth date, chopping up the day into little pieces with bells, do those things still serve us? Are they really the best way to prepare kids for the incredibly complex world that's waiting for them? Or is it maybe time to not just redesign the classroom, but to redesign school itself?